Today is Wednesday, July 29th, 2026, and this is Read Through the Bible.
Hi, everyone.
And we're continuing on in the book of Jeremiah today. We're going to read Jeremiah chapter 23 and 24. And 23 is really a lot of condemnation towards the shepherds, the spiritual leaders of Israel. Mm-hmm. But there's some hope.
Right. Yeah. And actually a very significant verse. Verse 5 says, "The days are coming when I will raise up for David a righteous branch. He shall reign as king and deal wisely." Mm-hmm. So just a bit of hope there in the midst of a lot of woes on the bad shepherds and the false prophets.
Yeah. And we've seen this before about a branch. Mm-hmm. Remember Isaiah spoke about this terminology about raising up the root of Jesse and a branch. I remember chapter 11 particularly, that comes to my mind. Just speaking about this offspring of David who's going to come and rule and reign. And here, kind of a drip of the messianic hope amidst a chapter of condemnation to the spiritual leaders of Israel. Okay, here we go. Chapter 23, verse 1. "Woe to the shepherds who destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, declares the Lord. Therefore, thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, concerning the shepherds who care for my people. You have scattered my flock and have driven them away, and you have not attended to them. Behold, I will attend to you for your evil deeds, declares the Lord. Then I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all the countries where I have driven them, and I will bring them back to their fold, and they shall be fruitful and multiply. I will set shepherds over them who will care for them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall any be missing, declares the Lord."
Verse 5, "Behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch. And he shall reign as king, and deal wisely, and shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. In his days Judah will be saved, and Israel will dwell securely. And this is the name by which he will be called. The Lord is our righteousness."
Yep. And then in verse 7 and 8, we have something similar that we heard in chapter 16, just speaking again of hope, of what God is going to do in the future. "Therefore, behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when they shall no longer say, as the Lord lives, who brought us up, the people of Israel, out of the land of Egypt, but as the Lord lives, who brought up and led the offspring of the house of Israel out of the north country and out of all the countries where he had driven them, then they shall dwell in their own land." And that's again significant. It's a common preaching point of Jeremiah that throughout the whole Old Testament, you just hear of God, this mighty God who brought Israel out of Egypt by these mighty wonders, and God's going to say, that's not the God. It's going to be known as the God who brought everybody back from exile.
Right, because it's going to be such a great return that's going to be God's reputation. That's going to overshadow the reputation of him bringing them out of Egypt, which was huge.
Yes. And now comes this strong condemnation to the prophets about how bad they were and how God didn't send them and they didn't listen and you shouldn't listen.
Verse 9, "Concerning the prophets, my heart is broken within me. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, like a man overcome by wine, because of the Lord and because of his holy words. For the land is full of adulterers. Because of the curse, the land mourns, and the pastures of the wilderness are dried up. Their course is evil, and their might is not right. Both prophet and priest are ungodly. Even in my house I have found their evil, declares the Lord. Therefore their way shall be to them like slippery paths in the darkness, into which they shall be driven and fall. For I will bring disaster upon them in the year of their punishment, declares the Lord. In the prophets of Samaria I saw an unsavory thing. They prophesied by Baal and led my people Israel astray." So Samaria was the capital of Israel, the northern kingdom. So that was a bad thing that happened in the northern kingdom. And then verse 14, "But in the prophets of Jerusalem," that's the southern kingdom of Judah, "I have seen a horrible thing. They commit adultery and walk in lies. They strengthen the hands of evildoers so that no one turns from his evil. All of them have become like Sodom to me, and its inhabitants like Gomorrah. Therefore, thus says the Lord of hosts concerning the prophets, Behold, I will feed them with bitter food and give them poisoned water to drink. For from the prophets of Jerusalem, ungodliness has gone out into all the land. Like just really putting the responsibility on the leaders, the shepherds and the prophets and the priests who have misled the people.
Right. Verse 16, thus says the Lord of hosts, do not listen to the words of the prophets who prophesy to you, filling you with vain hopes. They speak visions of their own minds, not from the mouth of the Lord. They say continually to those who despise the word of the Lord, it shall be well with you. And to everyone who stubbornly follows his own heart, they say, no disaster shall come upon you.
Even though Jeremiah has been saying, disaster is coming, disaster is coming.
Well, there's the contrast between Jeremiah speaking the truth of how disaster is coming, and these are the prophets who speak, peace, peace, there is no peace. No disaster is going to come upon you.
Right. Verse 18, for who among them has stood in the counsel of the Lord to see and to hear his word? Or who has paid attention to his word and listened? Behold, the storm of the Lord, wrath has gone forth, a whirling tempest. It will burst upon the head of the wicked. The anger of the Lord will not turn back until he has executed and accomplished the intents of his heart. In the latter days, you will understand it clearly. Like you'll see, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I did not send the prophets, yet they ran. I did not speak to them, yet they prophesied. But if they had stood in my counsel, then they would have proclaimed my words to my people, and they would have turned them from their evil way and from the evil of their deeds.
Verse 23, am I a God at hand, declares the Lord, and not a God far away? Can a man hide himself in secret places so that I cannot see him, declares the Lord? Do I not fill heaven and earth, declares the Lord? That sounds like Psalm 139. Mm-hmm. Where can we go from him to hide? Verse 25, I have heard what the prophets have said who prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. How long shall there be lies in the heart of the prophets who prophesy lies and who prophesy the deceit of their own heart, who think to make my people forget my name by their dreams that they tell one another, even as their fathers forgot my name for Baal? Let the prophet who has a dream tell the dream, but let him who has my word speak my word faithfully. What has straw in common with wheat, declares the Lord? Is not my word like fire, declares the Lord, and like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces? Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, declares the Lord, who steal my words from one another. Behold, I am against the prophets, declares the Lord, who use their tongues and declares the Lord. Behold, I am against those who prophesy lying dreams, declares the Lord, and who tell them and lead my people astray by their lies and their recklessness, when I did not send them or charge them. So they do not profit this people at all, declares the Lord.
When one of this people or a prophet or a priest asks you, what is the burden of the Lord? You shall say to them, you are the burden, and I will cast you off, declares the Lord. And as for the prophet, the priest, or one of the people who says, the burden of the Lord, I will punish that man and his household. Thus shall you say, everyone to his neighbor and everyone to his brother. What has the Lord answered? Or what has the Lord spoken? But the burden of the Lord you shall mention no more. For the burden is every man's own word, and you pervert the words of a living God, the Lord of hosts, our God. Thus you shall say to the prophet, what has the Lord answered you? Or, what has the Lord spoken? But if you say, the burden of the Lord, thus says the Lord, because you have said these words, the burden of the Lord, when I sent to you, saying, you shall not say the burden of the Lord. Therefore, behold, I will surely lift you up and cast you away from my presence, you and the city that I gave to you and your fathers, and I will bring upon you everlasting reproach and perpetual shame, which shall not be forgotten. Those are pretty strong words.
Yeah, they are. I think verses 30, 31, or 32 sum it up well. I am against the prophets.
Yep. I did not send them. Do not listen to them. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in terms of summarizing chapter 23, right, there's this hope of the branch, but chapter 23 starts with woe to the shepherds. I'm going to raise up my shepherd, I'm going to raise up my branch, but here's all the bad things about the shepherds and the prophets of Israel. I mean, fundamentally, they just have visions of their own minds, and they say, I've dreamed, here's my dream, listen to me. And God is saying, don't listen to them.
Right. And they try to say, oh, destruction's not coming. They say peace, peace, basically.
Yes. Okay, so we transition now to chapter 24. We have another one of Jeremiah's object lessons or imageries or metaphors. We've seen that several times. We've seen like in chapter 13 of the spoiled loincloth. We saw that in chapter 18 with the potter and the clay. We saw that in 19 with the flask. And now we're going to see these two baskets of figs. Good figs and bad figs. The good figs are those who've been in exile because life's going to be better for them. The bad figs are those who stay.
Okay, verse 1. After Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had taken into exile from Jerusalem Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah. Okay, so King Jeconiah had just been taken into exile here. He was, chapter 22, the curse of Coniah. This is the same guy. Okay, so after Jeconiah, king of Judah, had been taken into exile, together with the officials of Judah, the craftsmen, the metalworkers, and had brought them to Babylon, the Lord showed me this vision. Okay, so then Jeremiah got a vision after that had happened.
Yeah, and this is like the first phase or second phase, whatever, of exile. It's the leaders have been taken away first.
Right. So the people would be terrified here.
Yes, for sure.
So here's the vision. Behold, 2 baskets of figs placed before the temple of the Lord. One basket had very good figs, like first-ripe figs, but the other basket had very bad figs, so bad that they could not be eaten. And the Lord said to me, What do you see, Jeremiah? I said, Figs. The good figs, very good. And the bad figs, very bad, so bad that they cannot be eaten. The good figs, very good.
Yeah, that just reminds me of a story when we were in San Francisco one time in Chinatown. And we all were kind of there. We're thinking about where to eat. Yeah, and there was this Chinese woman who said,
Good food.
Good food. Good food. Good. And
she was trying to get us to come to her restaurant, and we did, and it was good food.
And it was good food. The good figs, very good.
Yes.
Bad figs, very bad. Verse 4. Then the word of the Lord came to me. Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, like these good figs, so I will regard as good the exiles from Judah, whom I have sent away from this place to the land of the Chaldeans. I will set my eyes on them for good, and I will bring them back to this land. I will build them up and not tear them down. I will plant them and not pluck them up. I will give them a heart to know that I am the Lord, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God, for they shall return to me with their whole heart. There's the good figs. Those that are exiled, God's going to give them a new heart, a foretaste and a foreshadow of the new covenant, which he's going to talk about in chapter 31.
Yeah, so he's saying it's good to be taken into exile.
Right.
Verse 8, But thus says the Lord, like the bad figs that are so bad they cannot be eaten, so will I treat Zedekiah, the king of Judah, his officials, the remnant of Jerusalem, who remain in this land. So Zedekiah was the last king. So he was the king who was left in Jerusalem after Jeconiah was taken away. So will I treat Zedekiah, the king of Judah, his officials, the remnant of Jerusalem who remain in this land, and those who dwell in the land of Egypt. And I think that would be people who go to Egypt to escape and try to stay safe. I will make them a horror to all the kingdoms of the earth, to be a reproach, a byword, a taunt, and a curse in all the places where I shall drive them. And I will send a sword, famine, and pestilence upon them, until they shall be utterly destroyed from the land that I gave to them and their fathers. Yep. So I think if people just surrender and go into exile in Babylon or the land of the Chaldeans, they are the good figs. But if they resist and try to stay in Jerusalem or escape to Egypt, then they are the bad figs, and they're going to be destroyed.
Yep. So that's chapter 24, the 2 baskets of figs, the good and the bad. Okay, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.